Hi everyone, and welcome to another JASP tutorial video. In today's video, I am going to quickly show you how to change data labels in your JASP spreadsheet. So here I have the JASP open screen, and again, I am using for this tutorial series, I am using the current build as of this recording, JASP 0.10. And so there are a lot of interesting features in JASP, and one of those features is to quickly label numerically coded data. So I am going to go open a recent file, and this is a real data file that I created for a project back in graduate school. I'm going to go ahead and open that. I had it open, ready to go, and we're going to use this for this current episode because I have a number of categorical variables that we can, you can see here are numerically coded, and we're just going to go ahead and put those labels in. The great thing about JASP is that you can have a numerically coded categorical variable that shows you the code in the spreadsheet but still operates under the numerical coding when it does the statistics, which is not something that is readily apparent in SPSS, though is the same. So here is, like I said, a data set that of real data that was collected about 5 years ago, and there are a number of categorical variables that we are going to label for the next video in this series, which will be how to operate the descriptive functions in JASP. So let's just quickly create labels. So here I have a trace condition variable, and if I leave the cursor on it, it will come up with an alternate text. Click here to change labels. So when we click on there, it opens a small little window, pushes the rest of the data down here, and we have the values of 1, 2, and 3, but now we can change the labels themselves. And here, condition 1 was the fluent tracing condition. In condition 2, this was the disfluent tracing condition, and this tracing condition number 3 was the control. And as you can see, as I make these changes, I went ahead and hit tab on the last one, and you can click onto another label, back and forth, and then it will change here, as you can see. And when you're done, you go ahead and click the red X button to close this view. Okay, you can move labels up and down in case they're in the incorrect order, or you want them to be in a different order. And then finally, the last one is to reverse all the labels. So I can flip them to where 3, 2, 1, control, disfluent, fluent, in that order. But, you know, honestly, that is on a case-by-case basis. For this one, it doesn't really matter which one's up and which one's down. I'm just going to go ahead and do smallest number first, and then we'll move on. So we're going to go ahead and close this view. And as you can see here, it puts the labels into the spreadsheet. I'm going to do the same thing for major. So for this data set, we coded anything that a student was doing that wasn't psychology as a 0. So non-psychology major, and we did a psychology major. So there's not really an even split in this set. I think there are more non-psychology majors here, as you can see. But find out in the next video when we go over descriptive statistics. Here I have another categorical variable, gender. Okay. Here I believe male was number 1 and female was number 2. Hit tab or click over to the next one to make sure that it fills there. I believe when you click X, it will also do that. I'm going to skip birth because I honestly don't remember what it was for. So, and then hand, I'm going to go ahead and finish here. This was for handedness. So 1, as you can quite plainly see in the data set here, in this column for the variable, 1 does represent right-handedness, and that's how we initially coded it. And number 2 here is left-handed, and then clicking X here. Oh, no, that's except the left-handed one. I just hit the X. So that's actually, you might think it's a mistake to include that in the video, but it's actually worth it to keep it and not edit it out, because we together see that if you just click the close this view button, the X button here, on your last label, it won't actually record that. Okay, so just be aware that you should hit Tab, click to the previous label, click within this view in order to get all of your labels to show in the appropriate. Click that off. Okay, so here we have all of our variables labeled properly, so we can quite plainly see. Now you might be asking yourself, is this absolutely worth it? And the answer is not really, except if you want this information to show up in the results output window, which will be over here when we start doing various analyses. These analyses, the results will show up on the right. Okay, you can leave them as 1s, 2s, 0s, what have you. You can leave them as that if you really want, as long as you know what the 1s and 2s or 0s and 1s mean. But if you don't know what they mean, or can get confused when you're looking at various, hand versus gender, or major versus gender, or whatever, that have the same kinds of coding, then you might want to just put the labels in there so JASP can read them back to you as those labels. Okay, if you have and if you have variables that are quite lopsided, you don't really need to do it, because you might understand that 1 is right-handed and there are, there's more than 10% in your sample that are right-handed, or vice, or very few that are left-handed. So you could probably get away with not doing that. But in any case, we have this data set ready to go for additional tasks in JASP, which is, to run descriptive statistics or to do any other kinds of inferential statistics. That's going to be it for this data set and this video. If you have any comments or feedbacks, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching.